Okay, for the first question, we're asked to study the example showing how to use a number line to multiply fractions less than 1 and greater than 1, and then solve the problems. So we're going to look at the example, and we see that we have 1/2 times 2/5, and then we have 3/2 times 2/5. And that is the major difference between these two examples. 1/2 is less than 1, and 3/2 is greater than 1. So knowing that is going to help us. Either way, we break the 2/5 into two equal parts, and each part is 1/5. And in the first example, that's right here, that's one of your parts. Each part is 1/5, and we shade one part. In the second example, each part is still worth that same 1/5 amount, but the number of them that you shade is determined by the numerator. We shaded 1 here because it was 1/2, and we'll shade 3 here because it's 3/2. Now the first question says, when you multiply a whole number by a fraction less than 1, the product is less than the whole number. So even though you're multiplying, your answer is smaller, and that's right here. Does the example showing 1/2 times 2/5 support a similar rule when multiplying a fraction by a fraction less than 1? And then it says explain, and that's always the tricky part. So your explanation would be something like, we have 2/5, alright, and that is, if I change color here, maybe that'll help us. So we have 2/5. That's what we start with. Alright, so we have 2/5. And then we're going to take half of that. So half of whatever you start with is going to be less than what you start with. Alright, and that's going to be your explanation for question number 1 when talking about a fraction times another fraction that is less than 1. Something like, you start with 2/5. Then you take, I don't know what that is, take half of it. Alright, so half of anything is going to be less than what you started with. And that's the concept they're asking you to explain in question number 1.